This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Danilo's free, and it goes to Gibbs wide.
First time we've seen them attack them, and there's Francis! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robinson do. Tyler one, he scores! And the city ground goes ballistic! He's through here! And in the end, Forrest will say it doesn't matter how you play as long as you win it. Yeah! Forest Premier League!
Hello and welcome to Red Side of the Trent as we discuss Forest 3-2 defeat to Bournemouth amongst some other topics, including the sacking of Steve Cooper and the appointment of Nuno Espirito Santo. Joining me today is Christian Brown and Reiss Lane. No Lee Clark, unfortunately, this morning. Guys, a kind of a bittersweet kind of week almost. I know you guys didn't get a chance to obviously react initially to the sacking of Steve Cooper. Me and Lee did that, so we'll get into that later and get both your opinions on that, especially yours, Christian, because yours is a whole different take to everyone else's. We'll start off with you, Reiss. Hope you're well, obviously. It's Christmas Eve. I hope you've got a lot planned. But what did you make of the first team that Nuno chose yesterday against Bournemouth?
Yeah, I think when the team come out, I think most fans were probably trying to work it out what kind of formation we were going to play, weren't we, really? But it ended up being a 4-2-3-1 with Origi playing on the right. I'm just looking at the team now. I don't think there's anybody really in the team as such who you'd say I wouldn't have gone with apart from the goalkeeper. I thought he would have changed the goalkeeper, but he didn't. I'm sure we'll speak about that later on. But I mean, what can you do, as we're going to discuss, when 23 minutes into the game? I think it was. Yeah, 23 minutes into the game. Your plans have just gone out the window because of something that you can't control, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I had hoped that Lee would be here to answer this one, Christian, but being as you're here, apologies. I have to go with you for this. 30,000 fans in the ground saw Willy Bolly win the ball, except 4 men. So how is this even possible?
I said before, like, the refereeing standards in this country are an absolute joke. Mike Riley has blood in his hands, should be thrown into prison as far as I'm concerned for crimes against football. He really should, because you got a situation where you've got the best league in the world, TM, and you've got the most money-fueled league. You've got some of the best players. You've got packed stadiums every single week, and you've got some of the most diabolical officials. That it's like I was saying the other week after the Brighton game. If we're looking at Anthony Taylor and saying he's in the top 1% of UK refs, then we're all screwed. And that was the case yesterday, because I genuinely cannot understand how that is a foul, let alone a card, let alone a second yellow. It's just beyond comprehension how stupid a referee can be in that instance. And of course, they're human, they make mistakes, etc., but they shouldn't be making mistakes of that gravity at a stage like that. I'm sorry, they really shouldn't. If they are, they shouldn't be in the Premier League. Simple as that. And I know Lee obviously sort of scoffs at the idea of outsourcing refs from Europe, because obviously some are more strict than others and whatever else. But generally, could it even be worse? Because I struggle to see how it could be worse when you get clowns like that every week. It's just embarrassing. It's infuriating. It killed the game as a spectacle. Like, there was obviously at that point it was okay. It's going to be 11v10. This is why I also find that Simbin argument completely stupid, because it simply will not work in 11-a-side football, because you just get teams just camping for 10 minutes and then breaking out afterwards when the player comes back. It isn't like basketball or rugby, where if you take a player out, it gives one a significant advantage where they can make it exciting. Because as we showed yesterday, even with 10 men, there were plenty of times, especially the second half yesterday, where it felt like we still had 11 on the pitch. Because it's football's a completely different sport in that regards. But no, it's Polly doesn't. The first tackle he wins is brilliant. The second one is even better. If anything, he is fouled by Smith. Smith obviously plants his studs on his ankles and rolls over like he's been shot. I cannot believe the refs brought it. And it'll be another apology from Howard Webb. It'll be another apology, which means absolutely nothing. It'll be another complete waste of everyone's time. And, I saw a few people taking a shot at the club's Twitter account saying, like, oh, why are you doing that? And posting about refereeing decisions and posting the BBC Sport comment about it being one of the worst ever seen at the City grounds. It's like, well, why shouldn't they? Like, why shouldn't they be angry? Like, this is, we're elite sport where the smallest, finest margins make the biggest difference. And you get some absolute joker giving a decision like that. Like, it shouldn't be happening. It's a disgrace. And to quote Arteta, it is an absolute disgrace. And unfortunately, we've been shafted.
Yeah, for me, the one thing is Rob Jones is like right there on the scene. Normally, from a crowd reaction, you can tell if it's a good tackle or not, and he can't wait to go. Nuno says it in his post match that he reacts immediately to it rather than taking a bit of time to it, because it's a decision that's going to completely change the way of the game. For me, it's a clear and obvious decision, and I don't understand why VAR can't get involved for a second yellow card offence when
that's a joke. I mean, they're the rules, but the rules are a joke, aren't they? I mean, something as crucial as that, a second yellow for a red, the VAR should be able to get involved in it. I mean, whoever's made that decision, they've just never played the game of football.
It's Rob Jones. It's Rob Jones because VAR can't get involved. They probably said to him, "What have you done?" They're probably. I would have loved to have heard, like, I said, "What have you done?" And there's nothing you can do. He's like, "Well, I've given it now."
I guess to get round the rules, what he could have done there, and people be like, "What you're on about?" He could have straight redded Bolly, and then he'd have been able to.
I thought it was a straight red at first. I generally thought it was.
I saw the second yellow come out, and then like Jess and Emma was like turned to me. They couldn't believe he was getting booked. I was like, "He's off here." I was like, "He's been booked." I was like, "He's been booked already. He's going to go for this." I mean, I could see from Upper Bridgeford that tackle was clean. And I've watched the video back a dozen times, and literally there's a screenshot where Wally, thinking of Steve McLaren there, and there's a screenshot where Bolly's won the ball. The Bournemouth player isn't even in the screenshot, so the Bournemouth player has ran across him. That is generally the worst, and this is no exaggeration. That is the worst decision I've ever seen at a Forest game ever. Shocking.
I think what makes it worse is that, like Adam alluded to, and like Nuno alluded to as well. Nuno could not wait. Sorry, Nuno. Rob Jones could not wait to get that card out, and it's sort of like, 3 months ago we made an official complaint against him for how he basically rigged the United game against us. Look how we get rewarded for it. Like,
and then he's made himself look an idiot by giving that decision.
He lost control.
He's a professional, and he's made himself look stupid with that decision.
Yeah. Well, from one incident to another, Reiss, the penalty claim where we've played a nice ball down the left. Elanga gives it to Toffolo on the overlap. He's crossed the ball and it's hit Adam Smith on the arm, a trailing arm. And VAR have looked at it and deemed that outside the box when screenshots and replays show Adam Smith in the box, land in the box, a trailing leg in the box as he's jumped. I don't understand how that's not been given either.
I'm going to start with the same kind of motive as Christian of this is the richest league in the world, etc., etc., etc. How the hell have we not got a camera angle that can see up the line, straight up the line in this league? How have we not got cameras what can see? Same as the Newcastle Arsenal one with the ball out, if it was out of play. Why have we not got cameras that can see straight up line? So you've got, like in the World Cup with the Japan Germany, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I just do not understand. So they can make a definitive answer, and even on the pitch as well, the referee hasn't given that. He hasn't given that as a hand. The ref doesn't think that's a handball on the pitch. He hasn't given it. So then, even if the ref thought it was outside, we've not got a free kick in a dangerous position. It would have been a dangerous position. I don't know, mate. I generally don't know.
I wanted to ask you: if the referee gives that as a handball, does VAR overturn that?
Well, no, because they couldn't say definitively whether or not it's a clear and obvious error. That's what they go on, isn't it? If the ref gives that as a handball, as a penalty, they wouldn't overturn it because they don't know if he was in or outside the box. I mean, I've looked at the replay a couple of times. I think he's in, but if they probably got a 1% that he isn't in, and that's what they've gone on. I mean, it's just down to when you're bringing in this technology, you need to have the proper camera angles. I mean, some of the camera angles I've seen and we've seen on the telly, I mean, they're just like guesswork making decisions from. I mean, all the money what's in the Premier League, and like Christian said, the fine margins, what big decisions have on games, the technology's got to be right. And they've just, from the get-go, really, when it was meant to be an aid, they've just made an absolute horlicks of it. And it's like, like they're just making it up as they go along, really.
I know, yeah. Christian,
What I will say to make, just what makes it more infuriating for me is that I said, because some of my mates are very, very anti-VAR, and whereas I'm not. I think that obviously we've been burned enough time in the Championship to warrant needing it, because they simply cannot be trusted to make a good decision. And no, obviously we're back and forth about it all the time. And obviously yesterday in my sort of like group chat with them, I was obviously fuming, as I can imagine. And they were saying, "Oh, you finally joined the anti-VAR brigade." I was like, "No, I haven't." But because you could have a perfect solution, but if these clowns are operating it, they're still going to make wrong decisions. And you did not need to see that replay 5, 6, 7 times to go, "That's handball, he's in the box." You needed one look at that within 10 seconds, bang, penalty. It wouldn't matter if it was Forest. It wouldn't matter if it was Bolton.
Well, with the time it took, I
Luton,
thought, here we go. I
Newton
thought we were in here for a penalty with how long it took.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered who it was. You need one look at that to go, "That's handball, that's a penalty." If you have a waiting for
I was literally like peering over to see from the Clough stand when the screen were coming out. So I was like, I was convinced in real time it was a penalty.
Well, on first viewing, obviously this is live when you're at the ground. I thought it had probably, his hand was down by his side, but I thought it had hit his hand and basically pinged his arm out. But it's not. Right. His hand's out. He's put his hand
literally out here. Yeah. Well, shocking decision.
Yeah, well, match of the day. I mean, they made a laugh and a joke about the red card. Didn't even look at the penalty incident that was shown in the highlights. But you never know. I mean, it's Gary Lineker and his conspiracy theorist.
Howard Webber apologies incoming, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we rode it out till half time and got to 0-0. But Reiss, we went 1-0 up unexpectedly. In all honesty, because we know what it's like with 10 men this season. But it's absolutely tremendous work from Chris Wood and a good finish from Alanga, I thought.
Yeah, when he actually knocked it by, the man I thought he had knocked it by, he was going to run around the other side of him, but he obviously, well, I hope he did. Obviously come through for Alanga, and Alanga finished it really well. I mean, that kind of just sums up Alanga, doesn't it? He does some things superbly well, very similar in terms to like the finish against Chelsea. Once he kind of come onto it and just side-footed it neatly into the corner, and then he does some things where, like Wood put him through later on, and he started running towards the corner flag when he was straight through. So. I think frustrating and raw is probably the best 2 words to describe Anthony Alanga. But in that sense, it was a brilliant, lovely finish, well-worked goal. And you kind of thought, right, we've got something to hold on to here. Let's just actually hold on to it for a sustained period of time. And 4 minutes. And 4 minutes, which 1-1. And then 11 minutes, it's 2-1 down, which is typical Forest, which is, we can't hold on to leads, can we, unfortunately?
No, I mean, we'll talk about the first one first of all, Christian, because I thought it was a good header. Watching it back, it's not. It's arguably there's 3 phases really. We can't stop the cross. We can't allow Solanke. I mean, it's good. It's clever movement from him, but it could be almost stopped in that sense, and then Turner getting lobbed pretty much a yard on his line.
Again, I just feel like I'm banging. It's not fun anymore with Matt Turner. It's not a joke. I genuinely think that I've not felt this complete lack of confidence in a goalkeeper that's played for Nottingham Forest since we had Jordan Smith. And then current form, I'd argue that Turner is worse than Jordan Smith. I'm not even saying that joking either. I think he's absolutely awful. How has a 6'3" man been lobbed on his line like that? Like, it's almost like he somehow lost height despite jumping. How is it physically possible? It's again though we sort of jump into the end rather than looking. As you said, it's in 3 phases. Again, stop the cross, stop the goal. That's something you're taught, as a kid, based on football. Stop the source, and we don't. I actually thought that Williams and Toffolo, and obviously when Ina came on, especially Williams, very very good yesterday. But again, we didn't do a particularly good job of stopping crosses yesterday. We let quite a lot go into the box, and it didn't really work. I feel with Bolly on the pitch, I'm a lot more confident of us clearing this sort of thing out because he is very much head it, kick it, get it clear. And don't get me wrong, Morelos as well, but for yesterday he wasn't. It was just a bad day for him, and was sprung there. Solanke, he shouldn't get to the ball, but he does. He doesn't do anything special. He just gets it on target or aims it on goal. Same with the third goal. He doesn't actually have to do too much. He just, does enough. And yeah, I mean, it's just shambolic goalkeeping. And I don't see, like, I've said this enough times now. If he's the number one for the season, we will be going down. There's no because we've shown again how many times now it's the 5th game we've lost 3-2 this season, isn't it? Or scored twice and not one. Yeah. He's been in goal for 4 of them. So what's the point in us scoring goals if he's going to be a clown at the other end? It's becoming a serious issue now. And thankfully, like, Nuno's comments after the game strongly suggest that Turner will not be picked for Newcastle. And good, because he should never have started yesterday, let alone anything else.
I said in the group chat, he's had 3 days of training and still picked Turner, and I was quite surprised. I get that whole, like, it's a clean slate because it's a new manager, but yeah, I'd have watched one tape and gone, no, he's not for me, especially with his kicking. It's bad. But we're facing a striker, Reiss and Solanke, who seems to, everything he's touching is turning into gold this season. I think he scored 11 goals in 17 games this season. I mean, another topic of choice would be of him making an outside chance of going to the Euros with how he's playing. But the second goal, how it falls to him, that's when your luck's in, really. But it's bad defending again. Murillo had a really bad day yesterday. Probably one of his worst games, unfortunately, in a Forest shirt. And that's a weird thing to say because he's been so consistent. But what did you make of that goal as well?
Yeah, just to start, on form, you've probably got a shout, but he's just behind that many strikes for the Euros, bless him. But he's kind of in his peak into now. He's kind of come of age now, just having a look. He's 26, whereas I think when he signed for Bournemouth, what was it, maybe 4 years ago, he was quite a bit raw. But now he's really raw in his peak, and you can see he's a very competent Premier League striker, hence why I think West Ham want him. I think it is. And I was linked with Arsenal, I think, as well. So he's clearly, sought after. But no, it's a terrible header from Murillo. I mean, as Christian said, he just had a bad day yesterday, didn't he? He just didn't look at it at all. And then, I mean, it's kind of bobbled through, hasn't it? I mean, I'm not sure how it's got through. Has it come off Toffolo? And then he's first to react. That is definitely one goal the keeper couldn't do nothing about, unfortunately. Just sloppy, very, very sloppy. Again, I think all 3 goals yesterday were sloppy. I did have a bit of a different opinion to you guys because we had 10 men. We was always going to be in a low block, and they was always going to swing balls into the box. But we've just got a man mark players. You've let a striker in form have 2 free headers and one on one. What was it from 8 yards out, maybe?
Yeah.
And you at this level, you're going to get punished. Championship, you might get away with it, but not this level. Especially when he's on form. I'm just having a look now. He's scored 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 goals in his last 7. So he's banging form.
He's in red hot form.
And if you capped him in your FPL team yesterday, then congratulations to you.
I mean, we'll get onto this in a bit because I actually thought we limited Bournemouth to very half chances, and Solanke just happened to take them all, unfortunately. But let's get to 2-2 because all of our out here, Christian, is we've scored from a set piece.
Hey. Unbelievable! I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was like, "Hang on! Not only is the ball not beating the first man, it's actually found a red shirt." To be honest, I know obviously we've had, and we generally share the view that Chris Wood isn't particularly good enough for Forest. Regardless of whether it's stylistic fit or anything else, it just hasn't really worked too well. Yesterday, I thought he was very good. Obviously, it looked like a point to prove. And, a goal and assist, the goal was a bit fortuitous, but you can't really sniff at that. But again, Woods does everything he needs to do. It's a great ball from Gibbs White. I actually felt that, I was pleasantly surprised to see how fearless we were, even with 10. Like, I know obviously Reece was sort of saying, against a low block, but we didn't really, we weren't really too bothered about that. It's going, no, we're at home. We need to get something out of this game. We're going to keep trying to do so. And, we were banging the door for a few minutes way before that corner and, putting them in really uncomfortable situations, Bournemouth. And I don't think they maybe expected a team of 10 men to be doing that. But no, the ball came in. It was a great ball from Gibbs White. Again, I think what was nice was that, because we spoke about this before, And it was quite funny being called as one of the worst takes of the week for this, despite something that's blatantly obvious. Gibbs White put a lot of good balls into the box that weren't being taken. They simply weren't. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of times where he was putting it straight to the first man. It was being cleared. It was very frustrating. But equally, he was putting a lot of balls into very good areas and no one was there on the end of it. Yesterday, someone was. And that was Chris Woods. And, all he has to do is just aim it on target and hope for the best. And, I mean, it's sort of Sinistera gives a bit of a helping hand, but it's technically his goal because it was going on target when he hit it. So, yeah, good for him. But it's a bizarre how something as simple as that has taken us so long to master. It's only our second set-piece goal of the season. The last one was in August. It's absolutely insane.
I thought Gibbs White was largely on the money yesterday, apart from maybe one in the first half. I don't know what you think, Reiss.
I think it's clear what I said quite a few weeks ago, that under Steve Cooper's management, it was clear that we was being told to go near post for every corner because every ball was into that near post. Yesterday, Gibbs White, obviously for the goal, put one in, was more to the back post. He mixed it up a bit. So I think that was clearly something Steve Cooper had said. Let's go. We're going near post with corners. Someone basically runs across the first man, as Solanke kind of did yesterday for their first goal, albeit from a cross. And yesterday there was a mix-up one, and you need to mix it up because if you keep going near post with every single corner, teams are just going to be switched on to that, and that's why hence we've not scored a set piece, have we, this season? Or was it one or whatever it was?
Yeah, it was one. Yeah, one. But, I mean, Gibbs White, you kind of got to see his repertoire of his technique because he was right whipping them towards their goal, which I thought was
as well
made that continue for goodness sake.
I know it isn't set pieces, but also Nico Williams put a few brilliant balls, and he put one in just after we'd made it 2-2 when Bournemouth were really on the ropes.
Well, yeah, this was
really on the ropes.
This was my next point as well. Gibbs White had one cleared off the line. Wood had it blocked. Nico Williams was tremendous in terms of Joe before. He was crossing the ball straight at the keeper. He was putting them in areas where the keeper can't come for it, and we was doing that a lot yesterday. We gave Bournemouth a really good go. I mean, we almost nicked it before they inevitably nick it, and I think that's at least it's a positive because I generally believe, and I don't know if people in the comments or listening later on will agree with this, but I think under Steve Cooper, we capitulate with 10 men. We go 4-5 goals down. I'm not even joking at this because he did get to a point where he was being a bit too negative. Yesterday, I was really, really pleased with how we played in terms of going forward. I thought Hudson-Odoi coming on made a real difference. I mean, to come on at half time for Mangala, I hope that was a tactical thing rather than an injury. And he kept Yates on because he's big and he can get involved in set pieces in both boxes. And Mangala's not really got the height there. But I thought on the break, we looked really, really sharp at times, apart from when you saying Elanga going to the corner flag, Reiss. But yeah, we've got to obviously talk about the third goal for Solanke. Me and you, Christian, have had handbags in the chat about whether Matt Turner should get to this. But for me, Solanke can only put it in that one place. I'd like both your thoughts on this because you was a bit on the fence, Reiss. But yeah, I thought he could only put it in one place. Maybe Turner could get to it if he's a bit taller or better feet movement. Or I'm not a goalkeeper, but because I'd just stand and watch it go in the top corner, to be honest. But yeah, Christian, I'll let you go first because you were really adamant it was his fault.
It is his fault. It is his fault. I'm sorry. It's like I said earlier about Solanke. He does enough. All he has to do is just try and get it on target and hope for the best. I would put solid money that every other 19 starting goalkeeper in the Premier League keeps that out. Because a goalkeeper that gets a full hand to a header that's put on a penalty spot and can't keep it out, it's ridiculous. What's the point in him being there? I'm sorry, he's got a full hand to it, Adam. He has to stop that out. He has to keep that out. He actually pushes it in. It's shocking goalkeeping from a shocking goalkeeper.
I think first of all, obviously, as I touched on my last comment, Solanke's unmarked again, and it is poor. That's really poor. I watched it back last night. I'd had a few drinks, so I had a quick watch back again this morning for my sins. And Christian's got a point, with the first goal where he's been lobbed on his line. Now, he needs to probably spring a bit more as a goalkeeper. He's dived so low for the third one that when he has got a hand to it, he just hasn't got the trajectory. It's just to push it anywhere else. That's why he's pushed it into the net. Whereas if he springs up and dives high, they just push that away. And people, again, and we always say kind of root cause on this podcast. I mean, Solanke's unmarked. I mean, at that stage, if we'd have got a 2-2 yesterday, we'd have all been pretty happy because of, the circumstances of the game. We all said beforehand we needed to win, but unfortunately, when you're down to 10 men against a side in form as well in Bournemouth and a striker in form, if we get a point, you have to take it and run. But, to leave him unmarked and then, as soon as I've seen him get a hand to his eye, he's going to just push that in. But I have to agree with Christian on the sense that, and I said this last week, and there'll be people now, fans, you need to get behind the team, and I do totally at the ground, contrary to some reports. It's just not good enough. I'm sorry, it's just not good enough overall. I mean, he's kicking again. He boomed another one straight out of play yesterday. The switching of feet is just too slow. And just generally all around, it's just not Premier League standard. I'm sorry. And Vlachodimos, I mean, there's people who kind of wrote him off when I don't think he's done too much wrong. He has to be really our number one. And if he isn't good enough, they need to bring somebody else in January.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Which is what Christian alluded to in the summer, to be fair. So I don't want to say these players aren't good enough and that, but we're going to be honest on this podcast. I'm not going to beat around the bush and just be positive for the sake of it. It's just not. He's championship standard, mate.
Yeah, I mean, Slick Rick's put in the comments that he kicked one straight out of touch and then moaned at Alanga for not being 12 foot tall.
The thing is, as well, I look at the defenders as well, and there was one where I mentioned on the last pod where Nico Williams had an easy pass to him and he decided not to play it to him and he turned back up the line. And there was several times.
Williams bailed him out big time yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, when he came, you haven't mentioned that where Turner just sprinted into no man's land, lost the ball, and Williams is on the line to stop it being a goal anyway. He's an awful goalkeeper.
I mean,
Nico Williams.
How many clear mistakes have been made with respect?
I don't see how we can defend him. I really don't.
Brentford, he got away with one.
Literally, Liverpool way.
The Salah one,
No, even the first goal, he just parried it straight into Nuno's path at Liverpool. He just isn't good enough.
Jota's won it. Pass.
He wasn't good enough. Sorry, Hoss, that's right. Yeah, he wasn't good enough for Arsenal to look at him and think for Arsenal go, you're not good enough to be our number two, regardless of what they're doing now with Ray and Ramsdale, which is insane. They actually said they very clearly laid out, you're not good enough to be our number two goalkeeper. We do not trust you. The reason why I don't trust him is because what happened in the Europa League last season, where he cost them the competition. So you got the. I think it was I can't remember if it was Keown or Adams, one of the centre backs from the Arsenal glory days, came out and said, "Look, it's very obvious that Arsenal defence cannot trust Matt Turner." And now somehow he's good enough for us.
You can clearly see our defence don't want to give it to him with the ball at his feet because
it's just not good enough.
Yeah, it's just like he's got a bomb at his feet, to be honest. And when your defenders can't trust your goalkeeper, I'm going back to the olden days now. But look at our obviously European Cup winning team with Larry Lloyd and Kenny Burns. So they look behind them, they got Peter Shilton behind them, and it would have given them an inner confidence, thinking, if we get beat, which 9 times out of 10 they didn't. We've got Peter Shilton behind us who can stop it, like the save at Coventry springs to mind, etc. Our defence will look and think he's got an error in him, and it's really worrying.
Important position on the pitch, the goalkeeper. It's like the Ferguson quote: attack will win your games, and defence will win your titles. Yeah. If you haven't got a goalkeeper you can trust, there's no point. Even go back to obviously you mentioned the miracle man with Brian Clough. There's a quote in Brian Clough's autobiography when he was playing for I think Middlesbrough or Sunderland. And he actually turned around to the defence at one point and went, "What's the point in me scoring 4 goals in a game if you're going to concede 5?" And that's exactly how it is at the minute. We can't trust Matt Turner to keep anything. He's like Poppadom wrists. How he's not kept that out yesterday is just.
Peter Taylor said, didn't he, when they signed? I think he said before they signed Shilton, they qualified for Europe, and then when he said he had signed Shilton, he said anything was possible.
Yeah, exactly. Get a good goalkeeper and you're set.
Yeah,
you do build from the back.
The defence clearly don't trust him, and
rightfully so.
You look at the top teams now in terms of City and Liverpool. They've got a fantastic goalkeeper, and it's a specialist position. And really, they've kind of been frowned upon over the years, goalkeepers, because they haven't really gone for like the money what attackers etc. go for, which is fair enough. But having a good goalkeeper can win you so many points. And at the minute, ours is just costing us points, unfortunately. And to be honest, one final point, sorry. If Vlachodimos was in goal for Spurs, I do think Nuno would have stuck with him yesterday. I think
Probably,
probably because Turner had the number one spot, he thought, I'm not going to make, because if he made a change your number one on the prima facie, and he then makes an absolute Horlicks, people are like, well, you shouldn't change your number one. Hence why, the league team just was amazed if Warren would have come back in, and obviously wasn't even in the 20, which, yeah.
Thank God.
Yes. Well, we will move on to some slept on it thoughts.
Red side of the Trent. Slept on it thoughts.
Yeah, Jimmy's updated that one now because it's could do the full screen. So thank you very much for Jimmy. His link is in the description below on Twitter. Ian Finch, who did the audio, his link is there. Follow him on Twitter. They did nice work for us. So let's get into it. Noel Milsom, ref's decision has changed the game, but we can't ignore the fact that all 3 goals were avoidable. Love to know our average time of conceding a goal after we have scored. We always look vulnerable after scoring. Also think 3 at the back is better. Sam, Nico masterclass, ref disaster class. Played very well on another day with a competent ref. Could have got all 3 points. Defending of balls in the air has to improve though. Todd Mills, horrific refereeing performance, but should mask another pathetic defensive performance. Goalkeeper is championship standard at best. Centre-backs get bullied every time we play against a centre-forward over 5'10". Wouldn't be great if effort and desire were extended to getting your head on the cross. Capanosity, leaving an incompetent ref aside. If Nuno doesn't know what a job he has, he definitely knows now. We will soon find out whether it is the previous coaches, the players, or a combination. That's the reason for ranked defending. We will go down if we don't become harder to beat. Keith Hancock's disaster from the ref, but same problems arise again. Cannot deal with any balls in the box. Conceding goals straight after scoring virtually every time. Conceding goals in injury time at the end of both halves all the time. We really conceded that the second half. Carl Booth, this is the worst refereeing performance possibly ever. Rules regarding overturning yellows that result in sendings off need to be looked at. Turner got a go. Although he wasn't at fault for the goals directly, he doesn't command his area or come out for anything. Ian Russell, great fight from the team, but Turner cannot, in capitals, start a game for us. Cannot save anything. Callum, take away the unforgivable refereeing decision. Turner is liable yet again for 2 of the goals. He's not a number one. He's a -1. Martin Fretwell, hopefully Nuno will help the team defensively. Couldn't fault the team's endeavours for the biggest competition in football. The referees are absolutely atrocious. Last but not no means least, because we've got so many. Again, thank you for so many comments. Josh Potts felt like the referee wanted to be the centre of attention today, though we played well despite the handicap of 10 men. Turner is not good enough. Vlachodimos in for Newcastle, please. As I said, thank you very much for getting your slept on it thoughts. We do appreciate it. We are going to go into some Nuno and Cooper chat as Christian and Reiss didn't get their initial say in midweek on Tuesday when it happened. Let's start with you, Reiss. Thoughts on both of those pieces of news?
I'll start with Steve, obviously. Yeah, it's been coming, I mean, let's be honest, like I said again on last week's pod, 1 game in 13, Pep Guardiola's under pressure and is probably going to be shown the door. It's a case of, what are you doing? I know what you've done in the past, but what are you doing for me now mentality. Very, very sad though. I mean, I was gutted because we've all wanted for what Steve's given us, and I'm so thankful for that. He's given me some of the best days and the best day supporting Forest. But yeah, as I said, it was coming, wasn't it? Yeah, just a shame because we all wanted so much to work for him, and I think when you want it to work for someone so much, you kind of your sentiment starts playing a part, but it's a results-based business, and as I said, his results haven't been good enough. I mean, I'm still absolutely amazed. Really, we're thankful that the 3 teams at the bottom have been so poor up until probably the last few weeks that we're not in the bottom 3 with this run of form, 1 win in 14. Because at any level, I mean, you're talking Derby County points total levels with that record. So yeah, very, very sad, but. Football's a business. Thankful for what he's done, but it moves on quickly, doesn't it? As for Nuno, I mean, you can't judge him on yesterday because 1, he's only had a couple of days training with the players, and 2, obviously the referees made a an absolute haulick. So when he was obviously getting muted, I was a bit unconvinced. I mean, I'm still unconvinced, but obviously you have to give people a time. I'm always willing to give people a chance. The positives are, and I'll go through both. The positives are with Wolves. He got them promoted out of the Championship with winning the league, but that team, in my opinion, should have pissed that league because of the players had. I mean, Ruben Neves was being touted for top teams. Diego Yotta's now at Liverpool. They had Willy Bolly, who's still a pretty competent Prem defender at the bottom level. Connor Cody went on to be an England international. I mean, so there's quite a few quality players there. And then obviously had 2 really good seasons with them. I think they got back-to-back 7th finishes, FA Cup semi-final, which, to be fair, they did absolutely bottle in the end, but they still got there. And obviously took him into Europe. I think it was Lopetegui, who actually ended their European run. I mean, we'd all dream of a chance in Europe. I think his European adventure is more likely to be probably Cardiff and Swansea at this moment in time next season. But and then kind of obviously the negatives come because he's ended up getting the Tottenham job, which people will say is a positive because Tottenham is a big club. But I mean, he started pretty well there, but then it ended up. I mean, he got manager of the month, didn't he? His first month, and they were top of the league. But then it ended up 3 months later unraveling in a bit of a car crash, and then he's kind of ended up in Saudi, which So we'll see. I mean, a lot of gripes against Steve Cooper was he played really poor football at this level. I think Nuno's renowned for defensive football, but to be fair to Nuno yesterday, with 10 men, I thought we had a real go. And like I said, at 2-2, Bournemouth were on the ropes. We just couldn't get that third goal. And something, to be fair, what Bournemouth did really well, I thought, opening doors, I thought they kept the ball brilliantly for 20 minutes until the sending off, and the kept the crowd quiet because we couldn't even pass the ball in the first 20 minutes. That was the only positive of the sending off. He actually got the crowd and the players up. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, he's got a thankless task because, I mean, I looking at him yesterday and he stood on the touchline and he must have been thinking it, especially the first 20 minutes, he must have been thinking, Jesus, this is going to be a hard job. And the other 3 teams below us are now closing in. If Luton, for example, was to win that game in hand against Bournemouth, they go above us and would be in the relegation zone. So, very, very tough. I was saying to you guys here about Newcastle have got loads of injuries at the minute, but as you guys fired back at me, they're superb at home. So, yeah, it's going to be very, very, very tough. We're in a proper relegation battle here. Really are.
Definitely. Christian, you have very opposing thoughts on Nuno, and I want to reiterate that you thought this before he got appointed and muted. So at least you are true to your word and what you've said on Twitter so far. I'm very opposite in terms of like to give him a chance, see what he does as the Forest coach rather than what he's done in the past. So take it away.
Obviously, got to give him a chance because he's Forest manager. I mean, it wouldn't matter if it was we hired O'Neill again for another round. So we still got to get behind them because it's the football club. But no one's bigger than the club and all that. But I have serious reservations about Nuno. Similar to what Reiss alluded to, really. I mean, the last season at Wolves, for example, was an absolute disaster. They scored 36 goals and lost 17 games. Now, for context, last season we lost 18 games and scored 38 goals. So we actually scored more goals and only lost 1 game more than a team that finished back-to-back 7 for 4. And yeah, you can say, okay, Jimenez got injured and Hossa went to Liverpool, etc., etc. They also signed Fabio Silva for £35 million. So, it wasn't like he wasn't given a chance to replace that. He just all fell to bits. The argument is that if you're going to say that Cooper's a negative manager, which isn't necessarily fair, but across the last 10, 15 games or so, probably would be accurate in terms of what we were getting, Nuno isn't much better. Nuno's renowned for conservative football, offensive football. So it's sort of like, you're just swapping one for another. Just one's going to wear a tracksuit and one's going to be in a Paul Smith jumper. That's the way it seemed to me anyway. So, but we'll have to see. I mean, obviously, we'll have to see. I mean, I think that the 2-3 week break he's going to get after the Blackpool game or after the Newcastle game, even really, while he's still got some of the AFCON players anyway, will be quite telling. I think that'll be a good chance for him to lay down his sort of methods and whatever. I mean, I think at this point, we can't really be too fussed about how we play, given the state of play we're in. We just need to get points on the boards. Because at the minute, you look at what we got coming with Newcastle United, Brentford, Arsenal and Bournemouth away, and you're struggling to see where we're going to get a win from. So, it's something's got to change and pretty quickly. And right now, I don't think we care how we do it, as we do it. As long as we finish above that dotted line, I don't think we're going to really care. We can worry about our next season. Look at Everton last season with Dyche, for example. Obviously, that was very much, right, backs to the wall. We'll do just the basics, nothing fancy, get over the line and see what happens after them. And then this season, obviously, Everton look much better. He's had time to sort of get them together, start playing some football, and then they're reaping the benefits for that. As we've seen, we've given them a 10-point deduction. But ultimately, like we said, we weren't. I think when it's 1 win and 13, you can't really defend that. And so I don't think anyone's sort of blaming the club or saying the club were wrong to sack Cooper, because stats speak for themselves. It's just a case of who they've got in to replace him. Because I found it very concerning that they turned a Europa League winning manager away in favour of George Mendes' client. But we'll have to see how it goes. And obviously we'll have to get behind Nuno, because we need to get behind the team, because they're going to need all our support, because, it's a pretty bleak situation.
We're in survival mode now.
Definitely.
I mean, there was mutants, weren't they, of pushing up to the top of the mid-table, or even maybe a top 10. I think Marinakis won. We're in survival mode.
Big time.
We are, because I generally don't. I'm just looking at the minute, and I generally don't see what other team is going to get dragged in, apart from us, the three who are in the relegation zone, and us. Maybe Palace, but I think they'll make a change. Yeah, and they get left adrift. Yeah. But they're winning games now. They're winning games. Yeah. I said this. I said Luton are fighting, and I says at Kenilworth Road they will cause a couple of upsets. They did yesterday, beat Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, it's good that we've got the break coming up, and another. We've still got half a season, but we've played the so-called fodder at home, which is the worst thing. We beat one of them, unfortunately, and yeah, it's such a tough task. I think the one thing I do like about Nuno and what I've read is he likes a tight-knit squad, so I expect a lot of trimming of the fat to happen in January. Whether he can move that players on or not is to be seen, and he likes to be organised. I think yesterday he shown that if we're a bit more organised, we probably get a draw, if not a win yesterday. It's little tweaks here and there, and obviously a better goalkeeper in between the sticks.
I guess the positive is that Nuno yesterday would have seen glaringly we cannot defend crosses, set pieces. So there's nothing on him yesterday. To be fair, we had a go, didn't we? And more than that.
The good thing I think you can look at is we're perfect for the counter attack. Like Hudson-Odoi and Alanga and Gibbs White look superb going for. I mean, we're going to get into some player performances. The first person I do want to talk about, Reiss, is Morgan Gibbs White, because he played central midfield yesterday, and I thought he was superb. I thought it was his best game. Weirdly, I know we didn't have like a lot of the ball, but when he got it, something seemed to happen. I mean, that bit of skill where he took 2 or 3 players out of the game completely was that would go on Showboat on the old Soccer AM for sure.
If it was still exist, unfortunately, don't anymore, does it? I mean, I've been banging the drum, and I think most fans have, to be fair, to get him back central. I didn't expect him to be centre mid though. In the second half, I mean, again, his plans went out. I did feel for Nuno because of the referees' plans went, and I felt for Origi as well. I thought he did all right first 20 minutes, and he's trying to get going in his Forest career, new start for him, and he's dragged off after 20 minutes because of a referee incompetence. I think on his day, Morgan Gibbs White's one of, if not our best player. He's been wasted on the wing. I've spoken about that at length on other pods. And yesterday, I thought he was far better centrally, whether it was centre mid or as a central attacking mid. He was vastly unlucky that it was cleared off the line. Although I do think that might have just clipped the outside of the post and gone wide, because it wasn't quite on the line, was it? But we always say on the line. But as well as that, because I'm just going to repeating myself here with the corners, it was more of a mix. So that's clear. I think something that's been worked on in a couple of days with this new set piece coach, and hopefully, like these kind of rumours that Nuno and him aren't friends can kind of get dispelled, and he can kind of become our talisman again. Because at the back end of last season, him and Taiwo especially was massive in keeping Forest in the league. You know, a lot of talk always goes to Brennan Johnson. And to be fair, there was a period where Brennan was excellent. But the last, I'd say, probably 10 games, it was Gibbs White and Taiwo who was really, really good in an attacking sense. Because there was players at the back like Felipe as well, who was excellent. So if we can get him back on form, get him back centrally. Obviously, we've got the 2 games out before the break, before the FA Cup game, which is, it's just one of them. I mean, if we don't win in the next 2, that FA Cup game is just a game you kind of think, oh, we could do without, but we kind of need to win this to get some confidence going, because of the loss, and that would be a disaster. So yeah, hopefully the start of him getting back to the standards he did last season, where, you know, people were talking about him prematurely, in my opinion, for an England place. And I mean, Jeremy Carragher, I think, said he was his signing of the season. Carragher said,
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be so Forest to go get a result at Newcastle and get a result against Man United, but we know that's going to be very, very tough. Christian, I'm going to give you Chris Wood, who I thought was probably his best game yesterday. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I would agree.
Did you see the step overs?
Yeah.
And the one in the first half as well.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah,
we watched Shakira.
But then he bleeded did that awful shot. I was like, Jesus, I'll let Christian take it away anyway.
I think over the last few weeks, it seems as if Woods is incapable of running or jumping. So anything above that was quite an advantage, really. But no, I mean, what was the game he came on with? I can't remember what game it was now. It might have been the last game we played, actually, where he came on, touched the ball twice. Spurs, yeah. It's just like dearing me. But all this talk about needing a striker at the other end of the pitch, and there is obviously a lot of credence in that. But I actually felt that Wood played very well yesterday. He played like he had a point to prove. He played more to his strengths, I thought. I thought he linked up play well. I thought it was weird, despite leading the line, we didn't really use him as sort of lump it up to him and hope for the best. It was worked into him a lot smarter, I thought. And yeah, fair play to the guy. Like, kept going, kept battling. I mean, that's 4 goals from now this season. I think if you said to me at the start of the season that Wood will get between 5 and 7, we'd have been pretty happy with that as a return for a backup striker, with the assumption that Taiwo would have got 10 plus, which he still might when he comes back. Well, we sort of need him to, really, when he comes back.
we do.
Which, yeah, the good news is, according to the Athletics, he's 2 to 3 weeks away. Apparently he's come back a bit early and he's fine, which probably means he'll go to Nigeria for AFCON and
probably
get injured again.
Probably back for Brentford, then be ideal, wouldn't it?
Yes, ideally, yeah. Unless he's going, of course, to AFCON still, in which case we won't see him till March. But yeah, so that is definitely some good news. But no, I thought Wood did well. It was very much, I think, like you said earlier, when a new manager comes in, it's a clean slate for a lot of players, and I think for Wood and Origi especially, it was probably quite nice. I know Wood was very much Cooper's buy, and we didn't really have the best of times this season, especially. But yeah, he played well. He led the line well, and if that is how we're going to operate, then fine. Then we don't need to buy a striker, or well, we will need to buy a longer term one anyway. But if he's going to be consistently playing at that level, even if he isn't scoring or assisting, but at least contributing to the team in that manner where he's making things happen, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna mention Nico Williams, because for the third game on the spin, he seems to have really upped his game, defending and going forward. Especially going forward, I thought he's been excellent. But yesterday, I mean, he's risked future little Nico Williams to put his body on the line for that goal saving clearance. I thought he did largely pretty well against. I mean, Watcher was really good. I thought as a left wing back, I thought he got forward really well, and I thought he played well against. I can't remember who was playing left for bloody Bournemouth, but
Dango, wasn't it?
Dango.
Yeah.
He was playing left back, and then they played someone else in front of him, and I can't remember. But anyway, I thought he did really well. I think he's seemed to have taken the opportunity by the scruff of the neck, and I just thought I'd give him another shout out. Third week on the trot, I think he's been really good, and that's good for everyone in all honesty. But
just to add, sorry, Adam. Nigeria, I've just had a look, have done their provisional squad and Taiwo internet. So they've named
great news.
They've named 40 players, but he's not in it. Emmanuel Dennis is in it now.
Wow.
But I doubt he'll make the cut if it goes down to 25.
I'm sad for Taiwo because I'm sure he'd love to represent
well,
Nigeria, but I'm absolutely delighted from a
well,
Forest perspective because we bloody need him.
With Forest fans, I couldn't give a toss how Nigeria do, to be honest. I know that sounds harsh, but
the Nigerian Reds will be saddened by that.
Lagos supporters branch.
Yeah,
or
I mean,
Lagos
let's get into Newcastle before we get into our giveaway. Thoughts on it, Reiss? I know we've alluded to that they're very good at home. I know they're going for a sticky patch in terms of results on the road and a lot of injuries, and they look very knackered. I mean, I watched them against AC Milan before when they went out of the Champions League, and they looked like they were running through treacle. And Kieran Trippier is going through an absolute torrid of a time.
I know he's. If someone would have said, "Give me a Mr. Reliable player in the Premier League," I think I'd have put my hat on Kieran Trippier because he's literally just that, isn't he? You get a solid 7 out of 10, very much like Dennis Irwin used to be for Man United into Trippier. You just get a solid 7 out of 10 at the least every single week, but he's having a bit of a rough spell at the minute. Yeah, I mean, you guys made a good point. And it's actually the reason why I had a bet on Newcastle to beat Fulham the week at home because of that home form. But I'm just looking now. So they've lost 5 of the last 6 in all competitions. It's just kind of the depth of their squad and how fatigued they are. I mean, obviously, I've not seen anything about if they've got any more injuries or anything. But they must be running on empty. And if it's something we can kind of capitalise on, I mean, I'm just looking at their injury list now. I mean, there's probably 10 injuries there.
Well, I'm not sure if you saw, but I think Lewis Miley went off early doors for them.
They brought Lascelles and Miley off after 37 minutes, but I don't know whether that's a tactical change or not. The positive is for them, Sven Botman's come back. So I've just seen he's come on. They've still got a lot of quality players, and it's still going to be a vastly tough ask. And with the bookies, Newcastle will be clear favourites, will be odds-on favourites. I'm just trying to grasp a little bit of positive rather than thinking, oh, we're just going to go up there and we're going to hear Primal scream moving on up after the game, after they're beating us 2-0. So, yeah, I mean, with their home form, you've got to fancy them, haven't you? But we'll see. We'll see. You want a prediction?
Yeah, why not?
Come on, I'll go for a draw, a 1-1 draw.
I mean, I'd take it. I'd snap your hand off for
absolutely.
Christian?
They say that they never bet on the early kickoff, but I think this might be one where it's probably wise to do so. I don't see anything other than Forest loss. I know, obviously, at some point at night, we'll see when the comments come in. We do need to find some results from these unexpected games, but they're just extremely strong at home, Newcastle. And they were wrong. There is weakness. There is areas to exploit. I mean, I've noticed they keep conceding goals in the last 15 minutes of games because obviously they have a very good first 11, but it's now worn down to a nub because it's had no rest and there's no depth to come on for them. So they are quite suspect. If we can stay in the game, then there's every chance we could pounce late on. But I just think it's just too strong at home. I think we'll lose probably 2-3-0. I hope I'm wrong, but again, it depends on what goalkeeper plays. Again, if he plays Matt Turner, then there's no. I just tell the fans, go and just stay in the concourse. There's no point watching the match. Like it honestly depends. So
you're going to be one of them, Christian.
Yeah, from Ken. What was it? 3:00 in the morning? You setting up?
Something like that. Yeah.
Oh, mate, mental.
But no, I mean, it's I don't know. It's going to be a very tough ask for anyone to get anything out of St James's. I know Dortmund did. I know Milan did. But you're looking at exceptional teams from exceptional, squads. It's going to be tough. Really, really tough. They just seem to be a different animal at home once they hear Blade and Races and whatever else. So, yeah, I'm going to go for a sadly convincing Newcastle win.
Yeah, I hope we win because, sorry, Adam, I hope we win because I've got a Sam Fender related podcast title for the like something along the lines of Chris Wood's hypersonic missile gets Nuno started as Newcastle were down.
Looking for the win. Looking for the leveler, yeah.
We're not doing a preview because obviously it's Christmas Eve and it's Christmas Day tomorrow. So, and I wish everyone, obviously, in the comments and whoever's listening to this, a very happy Merry Christmas from all of us at Redside HQ here. But I did want to get a kind of thought of like what you think the team might be or what you'd like it to be from both of you. If I get like a quick predicted 11 maybe that you'd go for?
I mean, we're both going to say put Vlachodimos in goal. Obviously, Bolly. I mean, would it be able to
I would like
overturn
to
an
think we
appeal
appeal
by
that.
that?
But will we have a
Yeah,
time?
but will it
That's
be
the thing, like,
overturned? I doubt there'd be a time, will they?
yeah.
So say if Bolly drops down, who's on the bench to stay centre half wise?
Well, Niakate came on, and Felipe's available at the port.
To be fair, me and Christian agreed on this. That was the first time I thought, because I didn't go to the Brighton game, but that was the first time I thought Niakate playing on the right yesterday really struggled because he just kept bombing balls out of play on his right foot.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether we could do the right footer on that side. I'm not mentioning it.
Well, I think Felipe's available.
Yeah, if Felipe's available, I'd play him because he'd be. He's ideal if he can stay fit for this. You need him because he battles Felipe. He battled last season. I mean, I know the Leeds away game sticks in my mind where I think we just completely crumbled, and he was battling like hell, Felipe. It's just a shame he's knocking on into a bit. And then the rest of it, really, you'd probably go with a similar team. Really, there was nothing. We don't know because of that referee decision how it would have gone. I mean, the first 20 minutes we really struggled to keep the ball, but after we went down to 10 men, we played quite well. So I wouldn't make loads of changes. I'd change the keeper. I'd change, obviously Bolly suspended if he's going to be. I'd change him. Aside from that, I'd probably go with what we went on yesterday for everything else. So maybe just 2 changes for me.
Yeah, Christian.
Yeah, after Vlachodimos in goal, 100%.
Not Joe Worrell, as Lance has alluded to in the comments.
I hope that rat is nowhere near the club ever again.
The thing is, if he brings Joe Worrell back after not playing for 2 months, probably 2 months, is it now? If he brings Joe Worrell back right after 2 months and he makes an error, it's going to be on Nuno's head.
I'm sorry, you cannot put someone who claims to be club captain who walks out on his team before even the game because he's upset he's been dropped anywhere near that team. Get him gone.
Really poor.
Rat. Yeah. Anyway, Vlachodimos in goal. I'd have Williams at right back. He's looking undroppable at the minute, to be honest. Obviously, he looks a little bit suspect with some of the diagonal balls over the top, but he looks so much better defensively last
And that was
season.
in the 4 as well yesterday, to be fair to him.
Exactly, yeah. He looks, like I said in the last part, he looks a complete different player than he was this time last season. And no fair play to him for that. So, Williams right back. I'd go... If Felipe's fit, I'd start him and Murillo. I think that has to be a pairing, really. If Felipe isn't fit, you probably would have to go Niakate. I don't quite like the idea of just throwing Omobamidele in for his debut at St James's Park. I think that's a bit, asking for trouble. Although as much as I'd like to see him get involved, and I hope he gets a Blackpool game. I think I would personally go Felipe Murillo, left back. Tough, I don't think you can drop him really. It was interesting to see Nuno Tavares back on the bench yesterday, although he didn't get on.
But Aina came on before him.
Yeah. But I still think, he keeps off of this shirt. In midfields, if it's 4-2-3-1 again, probably have to go Yates and Mangala again, much like yesterday.
Whether Mangala went off, if Mangala went off injured or not, I've not heard anyone say.
I think that would have been tactical.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So Mangala, Yates, give right front.
I might look to start Hudson-Odoi. I thought Hudson-Odoi would maybe warrant a start. Actually,
he looked sharp yesterday.
Yeah. In fact, actually, I was very pleasantly. I was pleased that Elanga scored from the right hand side because I felt for weeks Hudson-Odoi is better on the left and Elanga's better on the. Well, if you want to play both, you put Elanga on the right because I don't think Elanga's crossing is anywhere near as good as Hudson-Odoi's. No. So it makes, if you're going to have him cutting in and crossing the ball, it makes just keep him on a stronger foot. It's fine. So I'd maybe go start Hudson on the left and Lang on the right. Yeah, again, Gibbs right behind Woods. But then that's quite harsh on Origi, really. But realistically, I think if it's anything like we had either yesterday or that team there, I'd be pretty content. Just as long as Turner isn't in goal.
Wood against his old team.
It's just saying on flash scores that Felipe had a muscle injury yesterday. I don't know how true that is, but if that is the case, and he's going to be out, isn't he? And then, it probably will be Niakate. But to be fair, against Villa, Niakate on that right was fine. It's just
Ran Mark
yesterday.
Watkins out of the game, yeah.
Again, it just looked like he had similar to the keeper, just like he had a bomb at his feet. He just kept booting it out into Brian Clough.
Yeah, I personally think Newcastle's home form will be too strong for us. If we could stay in the game as long as possible, then I think their crowd get a bit restless and they get a bit frustrated. And then the longer Chris Wood stays on, the more they probably might think he might get as a little winner or something. I don't know.
You never know. Eddie Howe might be under a bit of pressure. There's that report, wasn't he?
Which is absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah, but
when you give it the circumstance.
Yeah, I agree. But the Saudis aren't just going to be happy with qualifying for the Champions League and doing well. Yeah. They'll want to win stuff. And you know,
my optimism hat says we'll get a draw as well, but my realistic football brain says we'll lose probably 2-1. Unfortunately, but it'll be a battling 2-1, which still puts the pressure on Nuno for that Man United game. God, but yeah, that's for the Newcastle debacle. But we did a giveaway. We're doing a giveaway on Twitter, and
I'll get it loaded up, mate.
And
drum roll, please.
Thank you very much for loads and loads of entries into that. We are going to do another one on YouTube. So if you do want to enter that one, we need you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is the first time I am begging for likes and subscribes for our YouTube channel.
That's time.
Yeah. First time. I might start begging every week because why not? Yeah. So if you can subscribe to our YouTube, leave a comment for this video in the comments. Nothing too abusive, hopefully. I will discount the abusive comments. Something nice, whether that's Merry Christmas or something positive at least, or agreeing with Christian's Turner's.
So that was the USMNT like fanboys are going to bombard our YouTube with comments saying how harsh we're being. I'm not going to win it, basically.
That's fine. So yeah, to enter, subscribe to our YouTube, leave a comment, and you'll be entered that for another £25 gift card giveaway for the Forest shop. We don't really make that. Like we kind of like the podcast kind of like supports itself in terms of paying for the stream and everything else. So that's kind of, it's just like a bit of leftover change that we've got in the coffers to give away to the listeners, which I think is a nice thing to do here and there when we can. But
right, so
I'll leave it to Reiss.
I've got the winner, and the winner is Luke Copley 766, and he's retweeted it and he's followed us. So
Luke Copley. Let's. I hope you've took note of that, Reiss. We'll put that on all the socials.
Yeah. I'll screenshot it, mate. All right.
Lovely. So yeah, well done to Luke. Like I say, get your comments in below. We'll see you after the Newcastle game, so the 27th.
That's just to hold up to the camera if you can see it. Look, there we go.
Luke Copley, there you go.
Yeah.
Well done, mate. So we'll see you after the Newcastle game on the 27th for a stream for our review of that game. Hope everyone has a really good Christmas. Hope everyone's got really nice roast potatoes, parsnips, and all that gubbins. Apart from Rob Jones, I hope his is absolutely terrible. I hope his
gravy's lumpy.
Yeah,
lumpy gravy.
Yeah,
giblets left in the turkey for the Only Fools fans out there.
But yeah, no, thank you very much for everyone that joined us on this morning's pod as well, and all the comments. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Have a good Christmas. Hopefully there's some Christmas cheer against Newcastle. We'll see you next time. Come on, you Reds.